The purpose of this video isn't for me to tell you how you need to change or to teach you something I think I know about what's going to make you successful in leaving behind something and finding and seeking and accomplishing something new. I will tell you though, from my own experience, it's very hard to change. Over the years, I have dealt with a slew of issues that I know many of us suffer from. Mental health struggles, self-esteem issues, environmental factors that have led to some less than awesome behaviors and outcomes, and addiction issues. This video is going to cycle back and forth between training footage from nearly 10 years ago up until my most recent training footage, with the hopes of at least demonstrating how, for me personally, the body does tell some of the story when it comes to change. I'd say from 2012, 2013 on, I desperately wanted to be someone else. I wanted to look a different way. I wanted to be someone who I was proud of. I wanted to be someone who felt confident and was comfortable in his own skin. And I wanted to maybe even inspire other people. I liked the idea of being on a hero's journey. I liked the idea of learning from my mistakes and becoming a better version of myself. Pretty standard stuff, I imagine. But, as the title of this video suggests, the path has not been linear when it comes to changing. When it comes to going from having this idea of yourself and this desire for yourself to actually executing it in a meaningful way that leads to profound and lasting change. I think mostly I just want to be okay. I think more than anything, I just want to be okay. And I'm happy to report, before I go into some of the aspects of change that I've experienced, both the good and the bad, I think it's important to report that I'm a little more okay, I think, today than I've ever been. I've been sober for nearly a year, and that's been an ongoing journey for me. And I mostly like and respect who I see in the mirror every day. My body very much reflects that. In the earlier footage, I'm heavier, and there's nothing wrong with being heavier. Nothing wrong at all. But for me personally, as pertains to this story you're listening to and watching, me being heavy is very much a reflection of something known as cognitive dissonance. This is a mental discomfort, you would say, that I experience when I'm holding conflicting beliefs and my behaviors aren't in line with who I think I am. Resolving this dissonance, it's uncomfortable, it's challenging, and I've pedaled back and forth with it depending on my ability to cope with learning certain realities about myself. So when you see footage of me heavier here, this is me in the process of trying to leave behind old behaviors, certainly being drawn to new behaviors like exercise, community, fitness, social, emotional wellness, and all of that, but being deeply comforted and rooted in, I don't know, pleasure seeking, I suppose, insecurities, definitely some depression, anxiety issues, and then very much in ignorance when it comes to the devastation addiction is going to play in my life, at least speaking from a past tense perspective. Just didn't know what was coming. When I think about what has led to actual success, it's mostly consistency and time. A lot of failure, just a freakish amount of failure, now that I think about it out loud. I was watching back this footage and I was pretty blown away. This project has been eye-opening. On the day-to-day, month-to-month basis, it's tough to see how far I've come. But doing this project and going back to all of these old videos and all of this old footage, I'm baffled by the progress I've made, and I'm grateful for the perspective to know that I've made it, because every time I've ever gotten more in shape or developed a new skill or become more aesthetic and stepped into my better self, I know I walk myself down the aisle of how many failures came in that process and how many times I doubled back and ran back to alcohol, for example, or ran back to food, or ran back to isolation and loneliness, ran back to hopelessness, ran back to being judgmental of others, ran away from the good things in my life, the things that I think deep down we all crave and want. I can see it happening, and I know when it happened. And so one thing that's cool for me is that at least from the perspective of seeing myself physically change, it came at the cost of a lot of pain and suffering. I've always been fairly decent at making more corrections to my life, so much so that I can't handle the pain and discomfort I'm in, where the way I'm living is just absolutely not working and it's just too much to bear. It's very hard to change. The number one thing that has been required for me to change, certainly from a physical perspective, but way more importantly from an internal one, is getting sober. I don't want to push my sobriety on anyone. I don't want to, I no longer want to be someone who's trying to let you guys know how great sobriety is. I just know that when I'm not sober, I get lonely. When I'm not sober, I prioritize my life around getting drunk. When I'm not sober, I'm not emotionally available. When I'm not sober, I can't stick to a diet and I can't train the way I want to. When I'm not sober, I struggle to be a good friend. When I'm not sober, I can't set goals because I don't know if I will follow them. When I'm not sober, I just can't maintain a healthy lifestyle, and it's just something that I really try to remember. Mindfulness and self-awareness for me is a beautiful thing, but I kind of don't really have that much unless I'm sober. So I'm grateful for that, clearly. And I'm grateful for the possibility of a future. And I'm grateful that failure is part of success. I'm grateful that I've been able to be consistent in the ways I have, and then persistent in the ways that I have struggled, as far as trying and trying again. I'm really glad that I have a support system. I don't think I could change without that. I'm glad that I've been flexible and patient with myself to the best of my ability. I'm glad that I've gotten professional help where I needed it, mentally, emotionally, physically, and then spiritually for sure. I'm grateful for positive reinforcement. I'm seeking and experiencing a lot of reward in making progress. I'm grateful that it's taken me so long. I mean, you guys are watching my life, 8 or 9 years of my life in a blink of an eye. And this has been a very arduous and slow journey. And I'm grateful that change can happen even when you don't think it can. I'm grateful that thinking you're hopeless doesn't mean you're hopeless. And I'm grateful for all of you who are watching and supporting me. Change is very hard, but we can change in spite of ourselves. That's what I've learned about myself, and I'm excited to see what more might come. Take care, guys.